In this masterclass, we are going to talk in detail about stress, different forms of stress, anxiety, and panic attacks. Stay with me because after you listen to this masterclass, you will be more prepared to talk to your physician or to your psychologist, to have agency, to be part of the team that is caring for you and your diagnosis, and of course to find better treatment. So let's start. Thank you for being with me in this masterclass. Let's explore what is it, what are the characteristics of stress, anxiety, and panic attacks. And hopefully I will answer all your questions by the end of this masterclass. First, let's differentiate. Stress can be regular stress, can be acute stress, or can be stress post-traumatic. Regular stress is when you just life. Yeah, I have too much to do. I wanted to accomplish 10 things today and I accomplished only 7. Or my children are jumping all over the place. Or I need to do shopping and it was so stressful to go and deal with traffic and everything. This is regular stress. Regular stress can become chronic when we constantly live on stress. People in the cities may have more stress than people living in the suburb areas, or people where they have everything taken care of financially. They may have much less stress than people who don't. So chronic stress can be in years in your body, and it's like this humidity that goes through the walls eventually can damage your body and your mental health. This is chronic stress. Now, what is acute stress? Acute stress is when you experience a trauma, either because you experience directly, because probably, I don't know, something happened to you, sexual abuse, an assault, or something that it was really traumatic for you, or because you witnessed somebody else having a traumatic experience, or because you were so near in the conversation and listening to. For example, as trauma experts, as psychologists, we constantly need to listen in very detail the trauma, other people's trauma. So that is vicarious trauma by proxy. Or your children have something, or your family member that you love. This is trauma by proxy. You didn't experience it, but now it's registered as trauma. And you have the symptoms as the same as anybody else that experience. Can you experience vicarious trauma because you are in social media, because you are watching TV, a movie or something? No, not necessarily. And the reason is because you can separate yourself. You can turn on the TV, down the TV, you can move, you can keep scrolling, etc. If you were to expose yourself to constantly violence, to constantly like programs of violence, or you expose your children, I suspect you may end up with vicarious traumatic stress. So let's limit the amount of TV, traumatic TV, because the body reacts like if, yeah. So it's a little complicated, but not to get into much detail. Did you ever wish to be a little more selfish? To take extra time for a nap, or to take time for just do nothing, just resting, go for a walk, or close your eyes for a moment. This, sometimes some other people call it being selfish. And yes, we want to be 10% more selfish. This is the philosophy of this book, promoting self-care and preventing burnout. For now in Spanish. For now in Spanish. It will be in English. Please, the more you comment that you would like to have this in English, the more we pay attention to it. And if you have somebody who you love in Spanish and you think needs a little bit of help in that department, go to Amazon, you will find us there, 10% Más Egoísta, with my dear Rosestella and I, who wrote this book with a lot of love for your loved ones. Thank you. And you can go back to your class now. Let's go to talk about anxiety. Anxiety actually refers to some stress or some feeling, uncomfortable feeling, when you excessively think about something that is in the future. Remember, stress is in the past, something already passed and is too stressful for me, and anxiety is in the future. And panic attacks are everywhere in the continuum of time. Panic attacks can be because you have chronic stress, because you have depression, because you have anxiety, or acute stress, or stress post-traumatic. I will go back a little bit in stress post-traumatic and make a clarification. Acute stress is same symptoms, which we are going to talk about the symptoms, but acute stress is when you have from day 3 to day 30, the first month. The 0 to 3 days, you experience an event. Many people experience traumatic events, but they don't jump into acute stress because they have more resilience, because their body has better resources, their life history probably, etc. So the first 2-3 days probably they have very hard time. They need tranquilizer, they need to sleep, etc. But they are okay. And after day 3 is acute stress and may pass in the first month. And after 1 month, now we call it post-traumatic stress disorder. This is for you to understand when somebody gives you a diagnosis. In the United States, diagnoses are very important because diagnoses give you the access to resources. Maybe because your insurance is going to pay for therapy or some other organization. So you need to give the diagnosis, or because you are in an evaluation immigration, because you are applying for something related to immigration, then you need a diagnosis. In other countries, maybe not so much, but it's important that you know your diagnosis because then you will find better treatment options. So the anxiety actually is nothing to be ashamed of. The Boston's Children's Hospital said that anxiety is in 3% of the population. I think they are way below. I think really population has 50 or more percent, especially after the pandemic. They experience anxiety. We all experience anxiety one way or another because our lives were on the line. Yeah, it's very normal, and we probably experience anxiety for the next couple of years. Especially, I saw a very particular special anxiety when somebody who had COVID or they have very heavy COVID because their system was having difficulty breathing. And what are panic attacks? Well, panic attacks are not, and I'm going to show you here. This is the DSM diagnosis. This book here, this book here, this tiny book, is the one that we use to get codes. We have every possible mental health problem that they found in the United States and in the worldwide organization, and they put a code on it. So the panic disorders, even though it feels awful, even though you may experience more than one, even though whatever, they still don't have a code. They are specified. What does mean is, remember I told you that it was across all other mental health disorders. For example, if you have depression, if you have anxiety, or you have a post-traumatic stress disorder, you may have panic attacks, and this become the last name. Like depression with panic attacks, or severe depression with panic attacks, or stress post-traumatic with panic attacks. So this is this is a specification that will let other clinicians know that you from time to time suffer panic attack. Remember, why is this? Because treatment options. Yeah. Okay. So they are intense. Panic attacks are intense, very intense. They can last from 5 to 20 minutes. You feel that you are dying. Nobody ever dies from a panic attack. Nobody ever dies from a panic attack. It really feels awful. I can tell you, I had 2 panic attacks in my life. One when I was 18 and another 5 years ago. And I can tell you exactly how it feels because emotional memory has no time. I can think like I have my memory like it was yesterday. Yeah. So panic attacks are awful, but listen, a panic attack doesn't is not the condition for a second panic attack. It may be like in my case that I have one at 18 and one at 45, for example. So it doesn't really means that when you have one panic attack, you will have another one. It could, yes, it could, based on your situation, on your history, on your conditions. You can have several panic attacks in 1 week, of course. This is why it's important that you get treatment because you can space out your panic attacks and because you can kind of premonition, kind of know that they are coming. Only more experienced people in how that is happening, what is happening with their body, know when a panic attack is coming. Here, let's make a pause, and actually, I am going to differentiate what are the characteristics of an anxiety attack and a panic attack. You may have that question. Let's make this difference right now before we move into this masterclass. Panic attacks typically occurs with a trigger or with nothing at all. You may be very calm, quiet, nothing was happening that day, and soon you have a panic attack. Anxiety attacks, on the other side, it could be because you were thinking about the future, because you were too stressed, because you normally can pinpoint the cause that day. Yeah. And say, oh well, I was too stressed I was too anxious about my meeting on Saturday, or about the social event that is coming, or the wedding that is coming, or something. So you have a sense where it's coming from. So a panic attack appears suddenly. Boom! You have it. You don't know where it comes from and you have no control. You lose control of your body. So, and of who you are, and we are going to talk about this. And the anxiety attack is in less degree, less intense. It can last much less time. It involves a lot your breathing. You still have the sense of reality most of the time, pretty much most of the time. And it may build gradually. It may be slow until you have this more intense anxiety, which means you can slow down and prevent the next anxiety attack. In the panic attack, the symptoms are disruptive and give you this sense of detachment from reality. And in the anxiety attacks, it can be low intensity, as I told you. The panic attacks just come from a couple minutes, like from 5 minutes to 20 minutes the most, and that's it. People may end up in the hospital, yeah. They rush and they got so scared. Actually, it mimics a heart attack. So this is why people sometimes get really scared and they go to the hospital, and then they arrive in the hospital and then they do all these kind of tests and they say, sorry, you have nothing physically, or good news, you have nothing in your body. This is mental. That doesn't mean that the treatment is easy. Doesn't mean that it's in your mind and you can change your mind and not having them. It just means that the treatment is different. And in the anxiety, the symptoms may prevail for a while. It's not like 5 to 20 minutes. It can be like you have this anxiety during the day, and then you have different anxiety attacks during the day. I hope that makes sense. Let's go back to our topic. What is the criteria for thinking about acute stress or um, stress post-traumatic? I am going to name some symptoms, and the criteria is that you have 9 of those symptoms. So if you check your boxes and you say, I have 9, I want to be very clear now that I am going to talk about symptoms. Please, please, please do not diagnose yourself. You may suspect you have stress post-traumatic or something, yeah. You may suspect, but you are not a clinician unless you are. But you are not a clinician and you cannot diagnose yourself, much less to diagnose others. Please don't do that. We don't go around and say you are bipolar or you are depressive or you have anxiety. Don't do that. Those are very sensitive topics for people. So no need to bring these kind of topics unless you want to help and say, I suspect this may be helpful. And then you show this masterclass or you show one of the videos or one of the PDFs that we have or something to the person that they can work on themselves. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Let's talk about symptoms. If it's stress because traumatic event, you may have intrusion symptoms, which means you have these memories, recurrent memories, insidious, very difficult to get rid of. You have memories of the event, you have flashbacks, you have smells, you have the feeling of a temperature, a smell, a color, a movement. Something may trigger all this reaction in your body and you have no control when or how. Yeah, for example, I don't know, let's put an example, a person who was hit before by the parents or by the spouse or something, and somebody does that, it's like, oh my god, that moves my body. So you need to be aware of your symptoms. Also, you may have negative mood. Well, um, with the with the stimuli outside, you may have psychological reactions. This is important. Psychological distress or reactions, not only body reactions, also psychological. So you may have also negative mood. What does mean negative mood? Negative mood is that you have the tendency not to experience positive emotions like happiness, calm, gratitude is more difficult to experience because they don't have that intensity because your body now is scanning for intensity. So they don't have that intensity. Even though intense happiness, you may experience less, but you experience difficult emotions like sadness, anger, despair, frustration. You may be more irritable. Yeah. So you have tendency to experience the ones that are uncomfortable for you because the body is in alert, is alerting you. It's actually very beautiful because doesn't feel beautiful, but it's very beautiful the way our body and our psyche is. So it is actually telling you, peligro, peligro, danger, danger, danger here. You may also have dissociative symptoms. And dissociative symptoms are this altered sense of reality, which means you may be driving in the highway and you say, how I lost the exit, how I was here. And not because you were listening to the radio or you were talking in the phone. No, it's because you just lost this control of who you are. Yeah. Or I drove one street, one block, and I didn't know how I did it, or I don't know if I closed the garage, or all of the sudden I didn't know somebody was so near to me and I didn't realize they were near to me. So you are not that connected with your reality. And it can be permanent or it can be some moments that you are less connected with reality. Actually, I developed this idea that somebody who had a traumatic event, for example, child abuse, they are open because they don't have this kind of a house with an alarm system or an alarm system disconnected. So what happened is that they don't have these alarm sensors and something they are prone to more crime because they don't know in the street when they are walking in the night. They walk in the night, in the middle of the night. I sometimes told to my clients, like, no, it's not that safe. That street is not that safe in the night. Like, oh, nothing happened. It's okay. So they have these lower sensor activity for danger situations. It's different if other mental disorders where they actually put themselves in danger situations. In this case, they put themselves in danger situations because they have these inactive sensors, let's say, or these lower sensitivity sensors. Now we understand more about sensors with all of these cameras and lights and everything. Now we understand better, yeah? Okay, avoidance symptoms. You may have avoidance symptoms, which basically means you don't want to be in those places, talking to those people, having these events that remind you of the trauma, which is very logical, yeah? If I was assaulted in that particular street, I don't want to go through that street. Or my car was that color when something happened, a car accident, I don't want to that color of the car. So as long as you live avoiding situations and your life is fine, go ahead. You can survive your life avoiding situations. But sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it's the house that you cannot sell. Sometimes this is very difficult. So you need to go and work in psychotherapy for those symptoms. So those are only talking about stress post-traumatic stress, acute stress, remember. Let's talk about anxiety. For anxiety, you need to have at least 3 symptoms, and I'm not going to mention all the 21 symptoms because they are more than 20. I'm not going to mention all of them, but you need to have at least 3 symptoms that you think are anxiety, and you need to have them for at least 6 months. So if you have 3 months, 4 months, remember you can be calling chronic stress or something else, but not anxiety yet. Although so many people have anxiety for years and they don't realize until years later, until it's too heavy to control, too difficult to control, until they really need meds to control. By the way, parenthesis here, having your doctor, psychiatrist, or somebody to give you a pill is half of the solution. Even though the pill may be amazing, it will help you to stay calm, it will help you to sleep better, it's still half of the work. Still, your job is to learn new habits, to learn to recognize when you are having the next anxiety attack, when your anxiety levels are raising, and you can control. The pill is not going to do that for you. So going to the psychiatrist or your physician is not going to give you a escape from going to psychotherapy. You need to work hand by hand with your psychotherapist and your psychiatrist. Not many people know that. And what happens is they go to take the pill. The pill works, not the first 3 weeks, but later it works and makes them feel better. And then that's it. They think that they found the solution. And eventually it doesn't work because you need more and more. And eventually you didn't address anyway the solutions or the triggers, or you don't know yourself. And then you get into other situations that are anxiety provoking, and then it's a circle. Now you need more doses. Now the doses is not enough. Now you get addicted, and it's a never ending. So, hand in hand, psychology and psychiatry sometimes. Unless you don't want, because many of my Latino clients, they don't want pills. So even though they have very severe symptoms, sometimes I need to tell them, please go. But most of the time, we work with whatever they want. But they need to have a new, different life. New habits, new everything. Okay. Said that, let's talk about the symptoms. Remember, at least 3 of them. Have this sense of not able to rest, like constantly moving, yeah, not breathing shallow, yeah, it's very easy. People say, oh, you have anxiety. Easily fatigue is another one. You get irritable very often. You have muscle tension constantly. you have sleeping problems because you cannot fall to sleep, or you sleep way more than needed. Also, that could be actually anxiety. Normally, you don't sleep well more, but you have this unsatisfaction. You don't rest, yeah, while sleeping. Obviously, overeating. You constantly have this sense that I need something to be chewing. Yeah, sometimes not even tasting, just chewing and putting into my body. So that's another thing. Boy, I know about anxiety. Anxiety is my eternal companion as a psychologist. Why? Because remember, I listen constantly to trauma and anxiety symptoms and everything. So I constantly need to work in anxiety. My life has been much better when I learned to meditate. This is why I love the community of Insight Timer. Meditation really helps for so many problems. So anxiety, if you experience anxiety, by the way, if you have anxiety, you can go to the Insight Timer application and find my profile and find a course. I created this course based on what I explained to people the first 3 sessions or 10 sessions and what I made them work on it. So hopefully that accelerates your recovery process or brings you information for you to work with your clinician. So it seems very simple. You listen to the course and like, what? But you need to listen one day, practice, another day, practice. So it's 10 days to practice. And this is when it makes the difference. Yeah, it is doable. Let's put it that way. Panic attacks. Let's talk about panic attacks. The person needs to experience at least 4 symptoms of panic attacks. And I am going to read to you some of the symptoms. Okay? So, 4 symptoms that are during the panic attack. Yeah. And also during the panic, I am going to mention these symptoms. But also during the panic attack, the people may experience muscle pain or neck pain or headache, or after the panic attack, they may experience headache because their body went through like an earthquake, literally. Yeah. So you have these symptoms after that. Those symptoms per se, this neck problem or headache or muscle tension, don't necessarily are the 4 symptoms that you need to count. They are just separate. Okay, here are the symptoms that you need to count. Palpitations, a pounding heart, and you cannot control that. Yeah, sweating is like complete wet, and you cannot control that. Trembling, like you are shaking or your hands. Yeah, feeling of suffocation, like you really cannot grasp air. This is why COVID was very tricky because people couldn't breathe and they were jumping to panic attack. Yeah. Pain or discomfort in your chest, even needle pains sometimes, nausea or abdominal discomfort, and feeling dizzy or even fainting. Yeah, chills or feeling the heat, like heat for no reason. It's not any fire nearby or it's not really hot outside, and I all of the sudden feel the heat, almost like menopause. Yeah, a menopause symptom. Paresthesia squeals means your arms fell to sleep or your legs, like numbness or tingling sensation. Those are paresthesias. Derealization. We talk about that. This sense of unreality. When I started panic attack, I was in this corner and now I end up in that corner and I don't know how. Yeah. This is why we lost sense of who we are. Yeah. Fear of losing control, of going crazy. You feel like like either I am out of my mind, probably I am crazy. And people who experience more than one panic attack, they may think they are crazy. But listen, craziness is lack of awareness of who we are completely. Yeah. And yeah, we may say this people is crazy because he dressed crazy or likes this crazy music or whatever. This is different. We are talking about craziness is the lack of awareness. People who is crazy, they don't know they are crazy. They are gone. Their mind is gone. So no, you are not crazy. Yeah, but you may feel like crazy. Fear of dying. A very real fear of dying. Like I am going to die right now here. Yeah. And remember, one panic attack is not the condition for another panic attack. Yeah. So the fear of another panic attack is another of the symptoms that may actually bring you another panic attack. But no, remember, I have one at 18 and one at 45. So not related one to another completely. So you may have in your life one or two or three or none, or you may have one every week. So it's not related one to another. Thank you for being all the way to the end to this part number 1 of this masterclass. It's very important that we distribute this information. If you know anybody who can benefit from it, please share the link. And this is all about sharing the link, sharing with friends, preventing these panic attacks that are so painful, preventing these anxiety attacks. And if you want to support us, you can go to our website, Emotions in Harmony, emotionsinharmony.org, and donate to this cause. We are always welcome and very grateful if you support us to create more content like this. And if you want to enjoy more content like this, you can go to the website and find our virtual academy, and there are some classes there also that you can enjoy. Thank you for today, and see you in the part 2. And remember, emotional harmony is built in community. Thank you.